Are you ready? Here we go.
He's directed bands in Marshfield for over a quarter of a century now, teaching thousands of youngsters clarinet and trumpet and trombone, warming the hearts of marchers in freezing midwinter parades. Franklin D. Lewis, we call him Mr. Lewis, and we still feel somehow uncomfortable calling him anything else. Tonight we pay tribute to a man who means so much to us all, a music teacher who also taught us how to live. We applaud you, Mr. Lewis, and say thanks.
I think I was maybe in 6th grade, and I can remember he seemed very young to me and like he was undertaking quite a task.
I just thought he seemed very young, not that much older than even we were, and we were in 6th grade.
Well, first of all, I remember about D. Lewis when he came here the first year I started band, which was in the 5th grade, and he was so handsome, so cute. All the girls just oohed and awed over him.
I remember the first time I met him. I was at my sister's 7th grade band concert, and I met him, and I said to myself that day, I said, I'm going to be in the 5th grade next year, and I'm going to be in his band. I'm going to comb my hair every day before I go to class. I just knew that day that I wanted to make that man happy, and I wanted to please him.
Do you remember when he first came to town?
Oh, yes. Young little squirt.
I can look back and think of when he was sitting on that chair and we were not doing it the right way, and he would say, okay, shut up, I'm talking. And everyone would shut up, you know. It was like, yes, sir. He's like a military sergeant and a clown, all at the same time.
I remember never being able to keep up with him. There were so many things to do and so many different classes, and I was there during the fall of the year trying to do marching band season and so forth, and it was just hard to keep up with him.
I think he's as high type of teacher as I've known and as interested.
Of course, he had a great sense of humor. And if there's anything else that he taught to us through band, it's have a sense of humor in life.
He was so fun-loving. He was always having a good time, enjoying life.
I don't know whether anyone has ever lived in this town the last 29 years who've had more influence on the school population than he has.
He has a good disposition. He's friendly.
Those 7 o'clock band practices early of a morning weren't the most wonderful thing in the world, and then he'd always yell at you during the band practices. But
he would at times throw his baton, not at any one person, but just across the room, and so we could always we'd always try to pick bets on where it was actually going to land that time.
He's only yelled at me once. He apologized the next day, but he was absolutely right, you know, at the time, and I knew it. It made me feel terrible, though. I know how the kids feel when he gets on to them, you know.
Does he get on to them?
Yes, well, he expects them to do their best, and when they don't, he's a little disappointed in them, and of course they should be disappointed in themselves, too, when they don't give their best, and he expects that from them.
He used to get mad, but it was always the thing that I've been thinking about lately that sticks in my mind, because we were at practices early in the morning, we were there at night, and for all the time that I was in school, he was our choir director. And he'd get mad, you know, if we were wasting time or we weren't doing our best. But I never can remember him just being short because he was tired or something. It was always, you know, there was always a purpose for it, to try to get us to do what we should be doing.
The kids, you see something really unique at contests, and you see a lot of school spirit.
The Saxophone Trio, Marshfield High School, one of dozens of ensembles and soloists getting ready for the annual High School Music Festival at this school. Across the Ozarks, thousands of youngsters stay after school to practice obscure chamber music. It's all for a few moments before a judge at festival. And more. It's part of the music education process.
Give me a good solid forte at 55 and do more than that, although it's not marked that way. 4 measures 8. Give me your 55 again. These kids hear all the rock they want. All they have to do is turn on the dial and they can get it. If they aren't exposed to some other kind of music, then all they're ever going to know is what they hear on the radio, and too often, let's face it, it's not the best choice of music. You get it? You did it twice, right?
Oh my God.
Try it again. Ready? Go.
D. Lewis has 80 band students. All are in at least one small ensemble.
They aren't forced into it, encouraged, but not forced into it. And they do it year after year after year. It's just kind of a tradition, I guess.
Festival last weekend at SMSU. Hundreds of musicians from dozens of schools, nervously waiting to play before the judges. The sax trio's turn comes up. It's one of several performances this day for Leanne DePriest.
It's fun, I guess. It's nerves, but the adrenaline, it makes you feel good, especially when you get a 1,
Like winning a blue ribbon, the top rating at festival is a 1.
The last thing I try to tell the groups when they're sitting down in front of the judge, they concentrate on the music when they're playing instead of worrying about the notes, the mechanics. Hopefully we're past that by then.
Afterwards, the trio joins other students crowding around sheets of paper where ratings are posted. Finally,
Marshfield Sax Trio.
1 minus. Well, at least we got a 1.
Okay. Wow.
You did that fake that smile.
We got a 1 minus. 1 minus.
Did you put a minus
Music Festival. It's a part of Ozark life every year.
When we got something and we did it and we accomplished it, we didn't feel nearly as proud about ourselves as if we made him proud. That was the most important thing. And then if he was proud, then we were happy that we'd made him feel that way.
It was very fulfilling. I mean, that was a very happy event. I think one of the places where I learned how to deal with competition best, winning and losing, was at music contest under him.
What would he say to you? How would he act whenever you got a 1?
I don't remember so much what he said, but the expression upon his face. He always had this particular grin of his, and the twinkle in his eye.
I remember one time going to contest. I was supposed to be playing a certain kind of drums, a certain part. We got to contest and forgotten the music, left it at home, and had to do it by memory. I don't think he knows about it yet because the drum section knows. This is 3 years ago. He doesn't know about it. Now he does. But quite an experience.
You played contest with no music.
Right.
And
he didn't know that until now. We got 1. Yeah.
Then he would say, you don't need the music.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
I've just never forgotten the discipline and yet the fairness and the sense of humor.
He always did some rather interesting things to catch our attention.
Tell me about those interesting things he would do.
Oh, there was one day I remember where he acted like he had lost his voice, and wrote everything he wanted to say to us on the board, and would point over to the board. And so we were going, ooh, he's feeling bad, and so we all felt sorry for us, and we tried especially hard that day. And that was his whole point. He was trying to get us to. There was a concert, as I remember about it, within a week, and so he was trying to get us ready for that.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Marching in the rain, like practices, he would hold us over for lunch. We wouldn't get to lunch on time. But I remember one day it was raining, and we had to stay over late because we had to get it right. And our hair was just wet, wringing wet. And he used to wear his fishing trousers and his suspenders and get out there and with this little intercom and make us march.
You won't miss that.
No, but they're great memories. They're great memories.
Dee is just that kind of a fellow. He's the kind of a person that kids like. They admire, they respect him, and they'll just work their heads off for him.
He could be just as much a kid as he could an adult, and anything the kids wanted to do, he was in for.
He would really be stern and rough on the kids, and yet there was a twinkle in his eye all the time, and they knew it was there.
Oh, he's delightful. He has a wonderful sense of humor. You can tell him the worst joke you know, no matter how corny it is, and he'll just laugh, almost roll on the floor.
And probably tell you one back.
Yes, absolutely.
He's just the kind of man that you want to please. You want to make him happy. You want to see him smile.
Through all the years, D. Lewis's bands have appeared all over the state. Parades, football games, music festivals, special events. And to get there, band members took school buses. What went on the buses and off the buses add up to some of band members' best memories.
The bus trips. The bus trips were always so fun.
The trips that stick out for the most in my mind are the trips to Sedalia and how hot it was. And I remember that kids would pass out, kids would get sick, and when we got through marching, my uniform would be just as wet as if it had been in the washing machine, just soaking wet, and we would be so tired, but we had such a good time.
Well, we'd go up there and we'd march, and you got to go to the girly shows, and you got a free meal ticket, and it was just a lot of fun.
You think that he knew that you went to the girly shows?
Probably.
Fun? I don't ever remember having anyone tell us. I think we were just all good kids. I don't remember anybody saying anything about, you know, you're too loud or you're doing anything wrong, or.
When we went to state music contest, we always stopped at Lake of the Ozarks on the way home. And he always rode the bumper cars along with the kids, and he always did all the things that the kids wanted to do.
Why would he do a thing like that?
I think to make the kids know that he worked them hard, but he could also let them have a good time. And that's what made everyone respect him so much.
Hard work, we respect hard work, and we respect his bringing out the best in the students. That's what I respect. To me, he brings out the best in the students.
I admire him because it's up to you. If you don't want to put out an effort and stay in there, that's all right with him, but he doesn't have any discipline problem.
I think the literally hundreds of kids who've been involved in band would everyone tell you that he's helped them learn how to work with people. He's helped them with a sense of accomplishment, and he's given them a little better perception of what it means to deal with life.
That I love him, and that I thank him for being who he was and who he is to me now, and that I thank him for working with kids that were impossible to work with sometimes.
He has built such self-esteem in each person, I think. The pride, not only in the band, but in each person's self to, you know, go out there and really try to do your best. If you don't do your best, at least you can say you tried. And that's something I can remember him saying.
He struck me as a person who was very able, very hardworking, and just a good man, and I think that makes for an excellent teacher. And I think Marshville's really blessed in having someone who would stay here the length of his career, because I'm sure he had opportunities to go someplace else with that much ability.
So different from just being a teacher. He was more of just a friend than a teacher, and it reflected in his band, I think.
I think all of us feel like that just saying thank you, which is really the only messenger you really have when somebody's done something really good for you, is just not enough. And this is not enough to really show our gratitude. But we just want him to know that all the good things that he's done and all the hard work that he's done has mattered to us too. And that over the years when some of us have been away and we read and hear about some of the things the band has done, we know all the effort that it took, and that it touched us then, just like it touched us when we were with him. And we wish that the rest of his life will be as fulfilling for him as the last 29 years have been for him, or however how many years it's been.
It's hard, hard for me to talk about it. He hears this a lot from the kids. You know, the kids at Band Bank would always say, Mr. Lewis has been like a father to me. And he has to me too. Probably more father than I've really ever had.